How's it going, guys? Andrew with Branson Cerakote and Applicator Hangout. Welcome back to the podcast. Sorry we haven't really been doing the last couple weeks. Whitmore was gone last week. He's the one that does all of our social media and kind of helps out with the YouTube channel. The week before, we had our open house, and it was just a crazy madhouse in here, so I didn't really get to it. But we're back on track, and we're hoping to just keep on chugging along. So today, we're going to talk about color fill and the different ways to do it. I've got a rifle that I brought in here with me, and we're just going to kind of discuss that. Just give me a couple seconds. I just need to pull up my the website. Whitmore's adjusting the camera. It'll kind of calm down in just a second. But I just want to get the podcast actually pulled up on my phone, so that way if anybody has any questions, I can see what we're talking about here. Just give me just a second to pull that up. Started. All right, there we go. All right, so Whit, if you can go ahead and change over to this gun so we can kind of talk about this real quick. So, been working on this thing. It took me a couple of days to actually get done. Pretty proud of it. I like the way it turned out. This was John's idea to do this. We've seen a lot of people do a bunch of scroll work and stuff before. And so this time, instead of doing the scrolling, we've just decided that we wanted to do something different. We didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. So we did a digital cam, and we've just lasered down into that. All that's been deep engraved, and I've color filled every bit of it. It was very tedious. It was very time consuming. And we're just going to talk about a couple different ways that you could do this. The easiest way to do something like this is there's these pins. Let's see if you guys can see that through the camera here. So these are made by King Art. It's the painting pin 2. It comes with the fine line, the 0.5 millimeter, the extra fine line, 0.25 millimeter. The 0.5 I used a lot more on this than I would for those projects. If you're doing like these really small detailed letters and stuff, that 0.5 is just going to be an absolute nightmare because it just leaks out. It kind of drips. And so if you're using that 0.5 but you have a really big surface, just get you a little like serving dish container or something that you can kind of work over and just kind of move that over to your project and hurry up and get over it. And then once you're done, just get yourself off of it. And this is the 0.5. Yeah, it's not much bigger, but there's a little bit of a difference. They come with little cleaning rods. These things are going to break on you, and you're going to still have these, but this little cleaning rod that comes with it is going to eventually break. I get a few cleanings out of it, 4 or 5 or so, and then this thing kind of starts going to crap because as you're cleaning it, you kind of start trying to move it around and get it all out of there, and they eventually just break. I've yet to find, if anybody knows of a spot to just buy these, let me know, because I've just been buying pins, and that way it comes with a new rod. I've tried is it a torch tip cleaner or something like that? It has all different size rods in it. None of those were small enough for what I needed. I had to use some sandpaper. I made one work, but it's still not the best. So if anybody knows where to get these, then I would much appreciate it because I could order a couple and I'd have quite a few of these that I could start using again. So the other thing that you could do with this is you could use clay, and that would be a lot of work. But what you would do is you would spray your base coat, or not really your base coat. You would go through and you would say I was going to do this light sand first. So I would spray every one of these that I wanted to have light sand in it. And then I would take clay and I would smear it inside of there and clean all that extra clay off after you tack out your project. In between, you want to tack out before you put your clay in, and then move on to your next color, etc., etc. And the clay you want to use is the Sculpey modeling clay. If I can get my box to open. Right here. We buy ours, I think, like on Amazon or something. You can get like a pound of it for like $20 or less. Just make sure it doesn't have some oil in it. It just needs to be a polymer-based clay. The longer you leave this in the oven, it's going to turn to concrete. So with so much that I had on there, I probably wouldn't do something like that with clay, especially some of these are pretty small because I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's all the way on the pick rail with this digital, and I would have never been able to get down in there and got that all really clean. So the pen was definitely the way to go. I didn't always know about the pen, and so when I first started doing all of my color fill or whatever, I did everything with the Sculpey clay, and I mean I've done a bunch of really cool projects with it, but that would have just been an absolute nightmare to try. So I recommend if you know you're trying to get into this, trying to find some different stuff to use. These pens are really nice to use. You like I said, you can get those from King Art. Um, we're not sponsored by them at all. I just found that these are the best ones to use so far. But that's pretty much it. You can use you can do a battleware technique where you would just spray your like your color that you wanted. You would just do your base coat if that was all you were gonna do. If I like say this was black and then I just wanted to put white in there, I would spray my black, tack it out all the way, spray white across it, and then just go through and just lightly wipe that white off the top and just leave it on the inside. And as long as your project is deep enough to where you don't touch it as you're going by, that's actually pretty simple to do. It's not that bad. And if you have a little bit of like that wanting to stay on there or whatnot, get you some I use triple lot oh what's the name of it? Steel wool. And I just go around and even if when I was doing the pan, if I would get a little bit in spots I didn't want, just go through there with that triple lot and just kind of just work at it just ever so lightly. It'll start coming off and it'll actually come off pretty easy. The cleanup's not that bad. Um, they make different types of Q-tips. If you get one that's kind of like got a cone on it that has less of the like paper or cotton ball, whatever it is on the end, it's a lot tighter and you can get in there and just kind of clean up a lot easier. Those work really well. But I think let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 5. I think there's like 6 different colors that we used on that one for the color fill. It's it looks really nice. I should have done a video on this one. I didn't. If I ever do something like this again, I did it in a rush because we were trying to get it done for our open house, and it was just, it was a fun project, but it was a little tedious. It was really nice. It was a lot of fun. I think Laura has about 16 hours just in lasering on this, I would imagine. She just kind of worked on it off and on, off and on. When she didn't have stuff going on her laser, she just kind of would throw this in, do a little bit as she went. We're doing a pair of aluminum grips to go with it, and then I'm going to color fill all those, so we're going to carry the digital down the aluminum grips. But John was originally we did this for John to take home. He thought that he was going to have this next to his bed at night in case somebody ever walked in. And as I got to going on it and I got done, I was like, there's no way this is leaving the shop. I was like, I've worked on this way too hard. This has got to stay here for everybody to see. This cannot go home. But so now he'll have to get something else to take home because this is going to stay here. There's no way this is going to go. But it's been fun. I was hoping I had training today, and I was hoping that is Monty. I forget. I'm terrible with names. I apologize. Monty. What was it?
Manny.
Oh, Manny. Sorry, not Monty. But he had training with us this week. I thought he was going to sit in with us for a little bit. He had to get on the road pretty quick as he got out of here. So I didn't really have anything too much planned to talk about today. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions or something, I'll be glad to help you guys out with some questions. I have a bunch of stuff at the house written down because I kind of like scrolled through the internet, tried to look for some questions that people's had on the internet about Cerakote. Trying to think of something that
we don't have any questions in the comments, but anything that you'd like to talk about or some that's popular, you can go around ahead.
yeah. Well, we can talk about, like, if you're getting ridges on your stencils, instead of like, spray your base coat and say everything wants their own individual colors. So, I would spray my base coat in black or whatever, lay my stencils down. If I'm gonna go over that with gray, then instead of spraying over all my stencil pieces, just kinda trace your stencils out, like, around them. Don't actually spray over them. Spray around everything, and then put your stencils on top of it, and that's gonna help you prevent ridges because 'cause you're not going over each stencil piece, multiple times. You did that with 4 or 5 colors, you're guaranteed gonna have I don't care how good you're spraying, if you go over that same stencil 7 times, you're gonna have ridges. So, that's just a way to kind of avoid that, is just to kinda spray around your stencils instead of spray over your stencils every time. There's, you can blend all of your colors together and then just stencil over it, and you can put a whole bunch of stencils on it at that point, and then you can just spray over the whole entire gun. That'll just kinda give you a real nice blended effect, kinda how they do, like, the Cryptek. A lot of people like Cryptek. We don't spray Cryptek. Cryptek threatened to sue us at one point, so we kind of got away from doing Cryptek, do, our own camo pattern now that we kind of it's sorta like Cryptek. We can make it look like Cryptek as far as, like, way you blend your colors and all that if you wanted, but we call this Table Rock. We're actually be on the lookout. We have a new pattern coming out. What are they called, With Table Rock Crossover?
I'm pulling it up right now.
I'm pretty sure it's Table Rock Crossover. I just got a gun done in it. Not completely done. It's baking out right now. So be on the look for the new pattern that's coming out. It looks awesome. I'm not gonna really say much more about it, but just be sure that you go check it out. It's on the new 5150. If anybody's ever heard of the 5150, we are now carrying the 5150. This gun has like 19 patents on it or something. It's something crazy, but we don't have the new prototype yet. We're hoping to get one of those in pretty soon, and it has dual ejection ports. I mean, this thing, you take the bolt out, do something to the bolt, put it back in, you're now ejecting out to the left side. So if you're left-handed, then you don't even have to worry about having, a left-handed gun. This thing's ambidextrous. It's gonna do it all. But I'll pull that thing in here and kind of show that off and talk about it. Maybe I'll bring John in here because he knows a little bit more about it than I do, and we'll do a full video over it next week because that thing is freaking awesome. I spent probably 2.5 days on that thing here the last little bit. It looks good though, so we'll pull that in here next week and kind of go over that and talk about it.
I put the Table Rock crossover camo in the YouTube description. It is only available on Applicator Hangout for 3 months, I believe.
Yes.
And also, we have a question from Brandon Lean, and the question is, "What media do you use in your sandblasting cabinet?"
So you have two options. You can either use the red garnet or you can use the aluminum. Crap, I can't think of the name of it. John, if you're watching, give me a hand here. I forget the name of it's is aluminum something or aluminum oxide. I think that's right. So we use the red garnet. The red garnet's cheaper for us. We can get it at Granger. Um, it works pretty well. The aluminum oxide, you can beat it up, and it's just not really gonna. It's not gonna last as long, in our opinion. I mean, I know a bunch of people out there that swear by the aluminum oxide. That's all they'll use, and that's fine. I mean, if it works for you and it works for your shop, that's not a problem. Use it by all means. It's just cheaper for us to get this. It does the same job, and it seems to last longer for us. So that's what we use.
Yeah, John confirmed it's aluminum oxide. We also have another question. It's, you mentioned with the gun you're showing off that you worked it over a few days. Thought Cerakote had to finish within 24 hours.
Correct. They recommend that you bake a project out and be done with it within 24 hours. I personally, I've worked on not ever a customer gun. If it's a customer's gun, I get that in and out. I try to, have it baked in the oven within the 24 hours. But I've done tests on like saw blades, on cups and everything. I've went 3 weeks without spraying on it, and then decided, hey, I have a little bit extra color here. I want to try something. Put it on there. I've never had it fail. Um, this is just kind of like a shotgun. It's something that we're just gonna have up to display. So it's not really gonna get handled much. Nothing's really ever gonna happen to it. But you are right about the having it done within 24 hours.
As John also said, though, he in the comments, the lasering took several days. The Cerakote didn't take as many days, but the lasering part, since it's such deep engraved, it
Yeah,
just
and all
takes
that was
longer
done
to
before
engrave.
all the laser stuff was done before I ever even Cerakoted it. So it took me roughly, like 36 hours probably. Within when I first started to when it got completely finished. But with it just being a shotgun and just being a display, we don't plan on selling this. It's not going to go anywhere. That's just our shotgun. And so it's just kind of showing off like what we can do. But I was trying to do this in the middle of training and with open house and everything else. It was just kind of like trying to squeeze it in and work on it when I could. But it's it was a fun project, and I could definitely do it quicker if that was the only thing that I had going on, and just doing that, it wouldn't really take that long. But with the way that we were kind of trying to just squeeze it in and do it, it, it took me a little bit longer. But with a customer's project, you always want to try to stay with what Cerakote recommends within that 24 hours or so, just to make sure that you don't have anything gonna fail. But I would honestly think that even at 48 hours, it's going to hold there. As long as you tack your project out and it's tacked out and it's not fully baked out, I feel like it's going to stick. But would I recommend trying that on a customer's project? No, probably not. If it's your own stuff, fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because if it messes up, I do this for a living. I'll redo it. I don't care. But I just wouldn't want to take that gamble and put it on a customer's gun and then it fail and then it kind of looks bad on you. But if it messes up on me, that's fine. I'll redo it. I don't care.
That
Uh,
seems to be all the questions in the comments so far.
yeah. I
You
guess
want to talk
I
about
didn't
our
I
new table
didn't.
rock crossover pattern and how it looks and everything?
You have a picture of it? Can you put a picture in here for us?
No, I put a link in the description so anyone who has Applicator Hangout can look at it,
Oh, you can't just pull up like a picture of the actual.
I can do.
See if Wit can pull it up. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't actually say like what uh Andrew looks tired because he's been working behind off. That's why Andrew looks tired. Like I got a slave driver for a boss in there. I'm just kidding. They actually treat us really good here. But it has been an extremely long last like 5 days. We've been going, and I do not have training the next, I think, 3 weeks, and so kind of excited about that. I've got a lot of stuff to catch up on because I'm getting backed up on a lot of customer projects. So yeah, so here we go. So Wit's got that pulled up.
Yep, it's pulled up on the screen now.
Nice. So yeah, this is gonna be the new Table Rock crossover. It is it's really kind of cool. It kind of reminds me sort of like a predator within uh, the Table Rock, sort of. If I had to say, it's and I used everything. That one right there is completely weeded out. I think, yeah. So it has all those little tick pieces taken out of there, like the little slashes. But I used all those. I used every bit of it on the one that I did, and it looks awesome with the little pieces in there because it makes it look like there's like a positive and a negative of that stencil. So I think it's a great pattern. And again, this is exclusively going to be on Applicator Hangout for 3 months, and then after that, then we'll have it for sale in our store, and anybody can grab it if you'd like. But it's a very easy pattern to lay down and spray. It's very forgiving as far as like if you get a little bit of bleed under, You know, it kinda just that pattern's made to kinda blend in with all your colors anyways, and so it's not just super noticeable, but it's a really nice pattern. I mean, I think it's people are gonna like it. It's gonna look good. I mean, like I said, next week I'll bring the 5150 in here, and we'll kind of go over the 5150. Got another question here.
Yeah, another question is just getting started. How vital is the oven temperature to maintain? Was testing my oven and it has a 60-degree swing. Will that cause issues?
Wait, what? 550 or
How high is too high?
so? Do you mean like is it like going 60 degrees higher than what you're thinking it's going? Like if you set it at 200 degrees, is it going to 260? Is that what you're saying? Because if you're setting it up at, polymer, you need it at 180. If you go up above around 200 or over that, that polymer is going to start melting. And so that would be too high. You definitely wouldn't want to do that. So I would say if it's doing like what I think it sounds like it's doing, I could be wrong, misunderstanding what you're saying. But if your polymer is getting up there above 200 degrees, then yes, you need a fan in there to start regulating your heat if you don't have a fan. Kind
I
of
think
start.
he's asking is like if there, because the oven, changes in temperatures when you open and close it, like how high is too high of a difference?
I mean, our oven drops quite a bit when we open it, but you just close it back up, and it's gonna get to that heat, set to
Oh,
300, and it goes to 325 down to two turning.
yeah, he says he doesn't have a fan, so yeah, that'll definitely help with the heat and all that. So that's a great thing to look into.
I would say a fan's gonna help you out a lot with this problem. You just need to make sure that you're circulating that air so that that air has kind of something to kind of move around. They, I think we might have one on our. If you can go to find our Amazon, might have the one from Granger that we bought. Just have a little fan that we got from Granger that you can stick on the outside of those. You just need to make sure you're venting it out. Oh, is this the all right. Which one is this? The AMX? All right. So wait, if you can go ahead and switch over to this, this is kind of what this is sort of going to look like. I'll kind of bring it over closer to the camera for everybody.
I'm gonna come in the room and focus on it.
All right, that'll work. So this is the scope that we're going to put on the 5150. It just came out of the oven, so it's still kind of hot. And the way I do mine is I fill this in. I fill all my scopes in. That's okay. Had a little visitor for a second. But so we do all of our scopes with hot glue. I just fill them in when I spray them, and I just pop that hot glue out. But this is our new camo pattern. This is what's going to be on the 5150. I believe there's roughly 14 colors on this gun. I kind of lost track. We were just grabbing stuff and just going and training this week. So there's the other side. It turned out looking phenomenal. I really like it. It's definitely different than our traditional just table rock. It kind of has like that like predator vibe to it, and that I mean that's what I think. But it looks really good. It's get a little clip. The
You're
camera
good.
kind
I
of
can see it.
lags.
If you keep holding it right there, everyone can see it.
All right, there we go. Yeah. So it's a pretty nice looking pattern, and it's like I said, it's very forgiving. It's very nice. I like the way it looks. The when you seen it weeded, that was just the big pieces, and then all the inside pieces. I used all of those too. I used 2 entire sheets of it on this gun, and so I'll pull that in next week. I'll get John to come in here and kinda talk about it with me because he's the one that met the guy at SHOT Show and everything. He just asked us if we would like to carry the 5150. Like, absolutely. So it'll be fun. So don't forget to come in next week and kinda check it out. Master built smoker. Um, I mean, a lot of people use smokers. There's not a problem with that. We, uh I mean, we see it all the time. Just you need to just probably more than likely you just need need some way to regulate that temperature and move that air so that it's actually regulating that temperature for you. It'll help regulate it. It's not going to give you hot spots, and it sounds like that's what you're getting in your oven. It's just hot spots. So by putting a fan in there, you're just going to kind of eliminate that little process. Just make sure it can fully circulate, and kind of get that in and out of there. But I would say that that's good.
Yeah, right now I'm putting a link in the description for our video and applicator hangout about the
About what?
blower motor for ovens.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I mean, like we've been talking a lot about applicator hangout, so it's kind of you get a lot of false information and stuff on YouTube or not YouTube, some on YouTube. I've seen some terrible videos of people doing stuff on YouTube, and there's actually a kid on there that he actually has more views than anybody else on Cerakote, and he's like, anybody can do this. You can do it right out in your backyard, and he's spraying this stuff right outside out of a spray can, and it was terrible. But you can get misinformation on YouTube too. But Facebook, there's a lot of people on there that think they know what they're talking about, and I'm not here to badmouth anybody or anything like that. I'll just leave it at that. But there's still misinformation out there, and it's also not guaranteed. I mean, me and John are were in a YouTube or a Facebook, sorry, in a Facebook group, and they just said that hey, something happened here, something was offensive and or whatever, and they just deleted the entire thing. And there was a lot of good information that was on there, and everything's just 100% gone. You're not going to get it back. So now we're having to rebuild that, and there was tons and tons of members on there, like into the like thousands, and we only have 100 people that's on that group right now. But so we opened up Applicator Hangout, and that's just where people, any kind of applicators, I mean, we're gonna start doing videos about powder coat. There's somebody on there from ATF Hydrographics. He kind of talks about a little bit of hydrographics. If there's people out there that want to just talk about Duracoat, you're more than welcome. I mean, it's not a problem. The We just don't want it to make it so that somebody can say this is all you're allowed to talk about. You can't say that or you can't do this. It's like this is our website. We can do and talk about what we want. We're just not going to let people get on there. We don't allow people to get on there and just bully somebody or whatever like that. We'll tell them you got to stop. But I mean, other than that, I mean, post your gun pictures, talk about, ask questions. There's a lot of knowledgeable people on there that know what they're talking about, and you're going to get answers that are really going to help you out instead of getting 9 different answers and you're like, which one do I choose? So it's really nice. It's a really good place. We how much is it a month, Wit?
Um, pull it up. I think it's like $20 a month. Like
20 bucks a month. Yeah.
$19.99 a month and
19.99.
220 or $219.99 a year.
Yeah.
If you get the yearly membership.
And there's tons of discount codes on there. We try to make it so that it's people that's in our industry, can kind of get more out of it. There's I think like KM Tacticals, that's where we get all of our 80% lowers. We use 80s for everything when it comes to taking stuff to the gun shows, using displays, because if somebody was to come in and walk off with that, that's not technically a gun. I don't have to notify ATF. That's less paperwork and everything. We still have our serial number and everything in it so that we could still notify the police, and if it gets found and they try to pawn it or whatever, we'll get it back. We don't have to notify ATF and tell them that, hey, we lost a firearm. So that makes it a lot easier. But we have 10% off for them. It's it's a good deal. There's tons of stuff on there. There's we're trying to get some stuff set up to where we'll have hopefully some coupon codes for ovens, coupon codes for some sandblasters. Kind of trying to work with some people and see if maybe we can't get like the sandblaster that how we like it, because we've kind of modified our sandblaster, and we're trying to see if we can't maybe find somebody that can just maybe do the Branson Cerakote sandblaster or something like that, just because it'll automatically come with a different nozzle. It'll come with a different foot pedal with the metering valve. Um, we had a group in here last week. They sandblasted everything at 120 psi, polymer included. It felt like, you know, 100 grit sandpaper by the time we got done spraying it. But it wasn't their fault. I mean, they just didn't know. They didn't have a regulator. They were just using the compressor and just going to town at it. And it ate it up. I mean, it just flat ate it up badly. And they didn't degrease anything. They had a guy that was spraying for him for a while that said he knew kind of what he was doing and everything. And his prep was just sandblast it and go to town. He didn't degrease, and I'm amazed that his stuff didn't fail like immediately every time, but didn't. I didn't do names. I won't. I'm not here to name nobody out. I'm not here to talk bad about people. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to just let everybody know that there is misinformation out there. There's uh there's lots of good information out there too. If you just know where to look, and we just want to kind of be that source for people to try to go and just kind of help people out. That's all we're about. We want to see other people succeed as we succeed too, and that's all it is. If you join the group and you have a question and you're like, hey, I seen this pattern and I'm not really sure how you get this done, pop one of us a question, and we'll do a video on how to do that pattern, and we'll do it step by step, show you the colors that I picked out, why I picked those colors, and we'll post that on Applicator Hangout, and it's not a problem. We definitely want to help everybody out and let everybody be successful. So
It looks like all the questions.
it is. Well, guys, I don't really have much more for today. I was kind of unprepared because I thought that I'd kind of have somebody in here with me this week, but I've got I've got some ideas for next week, and I've got a bunch of stuff written down, and we're probably going to try to see if we can't maybe call in and talk to some people that I've trained and just kind of check in on them and see how their shop's doing. How's business. How's the economy treating you right now? Because that's a big problem in our industry right now. Is the economy. People are trying to penny pinch and save money right now, and just see how it's kind of affecting everybody. So we're just going to give some people a call throughout the next couple of weeks and kind of check in on them. And I've got some stuff written down that we'll kind of go over and kind of cover. And if anybody has any questions, just write it down or send it to our email, or you can tag it on this. I'll try to check it before I start next week. If anybody has questions, then we'll cover over whatever you got. But that's pretty much everything I got for today. So yeah, I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you next week. So thanks.